Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the OTS Project. We're here at episode 4. Kyle Bridger, Mr. Theo himself, my co-host. We're here. We're ready to go. Theo, what is going on, my boy?
Dude, it is going to be a great day today. We got Saturday night main event tonight. It's got a really stacked card. I'm very excited for it. I've been having a very good week in general. I think so. I like to think so, at least.
All right. Okay.
I mean, I'm very excited
I'm not as enthused by this card, but I don't want to. What is it? I don't want to yuck your yum, so I'll let you.
What? Don't yuck my yum, man.
Just a short few hours from when we're recording right now, we have the second Saturday night's main event since the reboot or the return of it. What's the main event? Gunther versus Jey Uso, I'm assuming.
That is what I'm excited for. Yes. Yep.
Or Cody and Kevin's segment, maybe main event and closing out the show.
Probably, yeah.
I'm excited to see that stuff for sure. I'm not too excited to see Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu. I mean, I'm always excited to see Jacob Fatu. He's one of my favorites, but the Braun Strowman aspect of it, I'm not too big on. No offense to the guy, but just not a really big Braun Strowman guy.
I'm actually a little bit excited for that one myself, just because Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed a few months ago had that one match where they almost literally tore down the entire arena. And I feel like we might see a repeat of that, but with Jacob Fatu, so that's what I'm excited for.
All right. I'm about it. Maybe it'll get me more invested into the match than I am currently. But
big, meaty men slapping meat. That's what we're here for.
Like Big E says.
Like Big E.
Yeah, Theo, what happened in the past week? What'd you do? What'd you watch? What'd you see? What'd you
hear? Just kept working out, as always. I'm just trying to get those gains in. Got the muscles going on right here.
There you go.
There we go. Hey, there we go. Still just watching My Hero Academia, trying to get through that. They got the new Vigilante show coming out in a few months, so I'm trying to catch up before that comes out. Very excited for it.
Nice. I've gone down, and it happens every so often, at least once a year. I go down the South Park rabbit hole. So the past week, I have fallen back down the rabbit hole of South Park. It kind of started when I watched. I think I sent you that it was a thing. They have Matt and Trey. They bought Casa Bonita, and they made a whole documentary where they rebuilt it and stuff. And so I watched that right after we recorded last week's episode. And from then on, I've just been down the South Park rabbit hole. I haven't necessarily been watching episodes per se, because there's not really any new episodes I haven't seen. But I've just been watching a lot of YouTubers breaking down certain videos and certain characters and whatnot over the years. So I've been down at least the YouTube South Park rabbit hole. So that's been fun. I've figured out a lot of stuff about a lot of characters that I didn't even realize. A lot of controversies that I didn't realize, or at least didn't realize were as deep as they were. Matt and Trey are they're creative geniuses, but man, they do not give a fuck. Those guys
don't. They really don't.
Those guys don't care. The word sue is just not a threat to them at all. They do not care. Other than that, I been playing a little bit of 2K like I normally do, but I actually added the WNRN championships to community creation, so that's a cool thing that I did.
Ooh, okay.
Someone else did it last year, and I was talking to Jesse about it, and he basically said yes, someone did it last year, so they probably re-uploaded it, and when I searched it, I didn't find anything, so Jesse just sent me the files for the championships, so I just did it myself, including a certain championship we haven't really introduced yet, but it's back there. That we're gonna record a video later today to officially introduce, and by the time anybody's watching or listening, they probably already know what it is. But I also uploaded that, so that's up there too. So yeah, look up WNRN if you want some cool championships to download for your 2K thing. I'll make sure to do it for 2K25 as well, because it took me 2 seconds to do. But yeah, other than that, just been hanging out, living life.
Hell yeah.
So to stick with our podcast theme for the month, I don't know per se if we're gonna every month have a certain theme that we stick to for the whole month, but we just love video games and wrestling games so much, and with the news coming out on the 28th, we just wanted to have this month kind of be themed around wrestling video games. So this week's topic is actually our wish list for 2K25. This I have a feeling this might go off the rails, man.
It's totally gonna go off the rails. It's gonna be like a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, I feel like this is it's going to get wild. I don't know if it's going to get as wild as next week's episode where we officially break down the news and everything that they're gonna give us. Because I'm expecting the way they've officially started putting some teasers out there every day. There's a new little video where someone is about to say something, and then some heel like the Judgment Day or Nia Jax cuts them off and says, "Hey, you can't do that." So we're starting to get the teases. So come the 28th, I'm not expecting like here's just the cover. I'm expecting a pretty heavy dump of info.
Right.
For the game, I'm not expecting
like a pretty good trailer that shows off everything new.
Right. With the launch of like the website with maybe even pre-order stuff, but the website with info on everything that they show in the trailer and whatnot. So that's gonna be a fun episode. It's gonna be an interesting episode. But let's talk about especially what we want going in blind. Although we kind of have an idea of some of the stuff that has been leaked or rumored or whatever, but we really don't know anything confirmed yet. So going in blind, this is going to be just straight up what we want. So you want to start? I have 3 main things that are kind of just features, and then I have just a list of who I think is going to be in the game and who I want to see in the game as like base. But it's mainly who I think, because some people on my list are people that I don't really care too much necessarily that they're in the game, but I just feel like they're going to make it in the game, and they're going to make it in the game, base game, rather than just DLC. I want to, if you're watching or listening to this, it's probably already out, but we're going to film a video later today for either the OTS Project YouTube channel or just my YouTube channel. I've been uploading some videos myself, so go check those out. But we're going to film a video where we break down our DLC predictions. I already have my list. I actually made graphics that look like the DLC graphics and whatnot, and I'll probably do it for your picks too. So yeah, go check that out because it's probably already up, where we're going to break down the DLC, or at least our predictions and our wish list for who and what we hope to see in the DLC for 2K25 this year. But this is going to be more just centered around features and who's going to be, in our opinion, most likely to be on the base game roster that isn't already in 2K24. So, Theo, you want to start us off? I feel like let's break down the features first, and then we can go into the roster together.
Yeah, for sure. So it was kind of already teased in one of I think like it was like the first teaser that I saw, at least the one that you sent me, with Rhea Ripley kind of teasing like an intergender match sort of thing. I kind of thought that was a meh idea, so I kind of wrote down some of my own matches that I'd rather see instead.
Okay.
I have 3 that I would like to see. I want to see Inferno matches come back. We haven't seen those in a while. I think that'd be a cool addition that we could get going. We had a few of these, I think, in the past year or so, strap matches. I can only really see that being an absolutely buggy mess, but I still think it would be fun regardless.
That would be fun. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then I also wrote down speed matches. I know a few weeks ago I kind of predicted that Speed was going to die, but I think they're going to throw this in there as maybe one last hoorah. And I think it would be kind of a fun challenge to be like, hey, you have to beat this like main event superstar in 3 minutes. Go. I think it'd be a fun kind of challenge.
So, yeah, Inferno matches I would like to see come back. That's cool. We haven't had one in, God, I can't remember the last official one that we had.
Maybe like 2K14, 15.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, in WWE. Was Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton an Inferno match? I feel like it was.
I think so.
Isn't that when, like, the Fiend, right, when the Fiend got burned alive or whatever?
Yeah.
I feel like it was an Inferno match. So that was, like, what, 2021? So that was the last
Yeah, that was, like, 4 years ago.
Right. And it was in front of no crowd and whatnot. So that would be cool. Maybe it can entice Triple H or Shawn Michaels to book an Inferno match if it's in the game.
An NXT Inferno match would go crazy, for sure.
That would be crazy. Yeah, I think speed matches, I feel like you can kind of do that already, can't you? Like, I feel like if, in a way, couldn't you go in and set the rules to where it's like a 5-minute time limit?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I've ever really gone that in-depth in, like, the match settings before.
Okay.
You probably could. I just think...
I feel like you could.
It's kind of that easy to where they could pretty much do it already. I feel like it wouldn't be that much of a challenge for them to do it.
For sure. And, yeah, strap match, that would be fun, but like you said, it would be...
It would be an absolute mess.
we can't get normal matches to work right sometimes. So, yeah, having a strap that's attached to 2 people... You would go out of the ring, and somehow the strap would just phase through the ropes, and someone would just be able to walk around like normal. Like, it would just... I almost want it more so not because of how cool it would be, but because of how crazy
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I have 3 matches on my list actually, and they are three
Okay.
completely different matches than what were on your list.
All right. Great.
I think my matches probably are more so pertaining to what we have seen more on TV. But one is not, and that is the intergender matches. This wasn't something I even really necessarily thought about until they started teasing it, and then I was like, yeah, let's put it on my list. Just because I think it would be fun, and I think a lot of people would have fun doing like stupid matches and whatnot. But me more so so going back to the WNRN championship, that's a championship that anybody could win. So having it for my universe mode, I feel like it would be cooler if I can have Lexi Gomez face Theo for the WNRN Internet Championship rather than having to exclude any of the women that I download or create. So I think that's mainly why. Not so much because I want to do stupid. Oh, I want to download the Big Show and have him face Trish Stratus. Like, no, that's not what I wanted. I want it more so for a situation like that where I legitimately would have championships that could go between men and women. My other one is a heritage match / the Heritage Cup in general.
Ooh.
I think, that championship or cup, whatever you want to say, it's been around at this point for so long. It's been around since NXT UK was still a thing. So it's been around since like 2019, maybe even before that. And it hasn't been in a game. So I think, why would it not be in the game at this point? It's more, I think, prevalent now, I believe, because it's on NXT TV rather than a sub-brand. It's on main NXT TV as a main championship that's in NXT. And it gets defended pretty regularly. So, yeah, I think it would be really cool if, I'm trying to think, it would be cool to have the matches. And I think for the championship, I think it would be easy enough to where you only have to mocap a couple of at least victory things where they're holding up the cup. But for, entrances, all you really have to do is I would just have the cup spawn on the stage for whoever's entrance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wouldn't have a million entrances where someone's having to carry the cup because it wouldn't make much sense. But it's say you made Roman Reigns the Heritage Cup champion, just have the cup be on the stage when he makes his entrance and have it say Heritage Cup champion. And the matches in general, I think it's not too far off because it's not some crazy match. It's just like a round-based match. So I think that it's been around long enough, and I think it's more prevalent than it's ever been, really. So I think, the Heritage Cup / the Heritage match would be a cool addition. And my last one, sticking with NXT, is the Deadline match, or Iron Survivor, whatever they call it. It's another one where you can kind of, in a way, do it. I've kind of done it for my main, WWE Universe mode, where you can kind of do a gauntlet where people come in at different intervals, but you don't have the penalty box aspect of it. So that's what I would like to see added in there, to where you have the Deadline match, but you also have the penalty factor in there and everything like that. So, yeah, those are my three matches.
Yeah, you definitely got some good matches on there for sure. I am still kind of meh on the idea of intergender matches. It's just not something that I'd really want to play all that much myself. But if I can tsunami Nia Jax 8 times, I'm not gonna say no to that. Right. That's gonna be fun. I also think
too, to add to it, I think content creation wise, not necessarily for me, but for the people that do kind of content creation, I think that can help too, because if you want to have something where you want to have something in your storyline where Rhea Ripley hits Dom with a Riptide, it might be a little easier to do it if you can just have it in an actual match and you just record it rather than having to have him be a manager and you have to find a way to get him in the, you know what I'm saying? So I think content creation wise too would be really, really great for people to be able to do things with men and women to where you don't have to kind of find a loophole,
No, I get that. I think in terms of content creation and universe mode and stuff like that, I think this mode is definitely going to be a big step in the right direction for allowing you to do what exactly you want to do in terms of creativity.
Yeah. I agree.
But the Heritage Cup match, definitely, I would love to see that for sure. I think that's a very fun match type. Definitely want to play that.
Rachel Schneider's favorite match type.
the only one match she's ever seen in her entire life.
Yeah, and she was on her phone the whole time.
She was on her phone the whole time. Let's see, what do we got next? We kind of already talked about this a little bit with the strap match. I would just like it to be less of a buggy mess. I feel like this year's in particular, there were a good number of game-breaking bugs, especially with the infamous one of like all the cars losing their hair and stuff like that. I don't understand how that even happens. Like that's never happened before. I don't know why it's happened now, but we need to leave this in the past.
Playing the game, that it turned me away from playing the game for a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
And that one,
I would have been so much more into it if they didn't do that.
Too, but there was another one where it had to do with like the update files. It only happened after there was an update.
Right.
So there was the one where everyone was like bald, and still to this day, if you download some community creations, they are bald, even though in their photo they have hair. But there was another one where just like it just automatically defaulted random cause entrances back to like generic. Like I went into my created universe and I made sure like everybody has created, edited entrances with a theme song, and like say I had like 50 people in there, at least 20 of them like just said like generic luchador or whatever, saying Bayomet's Finest, which is like the default entrance for one of the things. Like I was like, dude, really? Like now I have to not only is it annoying that I have to do this for like 20 people, but I have to remember each animation each entrance that I use, each graphic that I use, each song that I use for each person. So I'm like, come on, man. So yeah,
it's very like regressing.
I didn't want to cut you off, but yeah, that was a tangent.
No. I mean, you're good. I know you have your troubles with this, especially in this year's game. That's kind of why it's on my list. We just need to get away from this kind of stuff. I don't know how this keeps allowing to happen, how they're allowing to push this out.
I had one the other day. I literally, like 2 days ago, was playing, and I did like a breakout. I was like, oh, this will make sense for the match where I have someone, guy's making his entrance and someone breaks out and jumps him, and I was playing as the guy that breaks out. Threw homeboy in the ring, and Mike Rome was just still standing in the middle of the ring. Like the ring announcer was just standing in the middle of the ring. And it made no sense to me. I didn't know.
Triple threat match.
Yeah. And I like Irish whipped to see if like he would bump into him or something like that. No, he just ran right through him. So I had to then restart the match. I'm like, dude, this is
the ghost of Mike Romo is haunting your match.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, there's a good amount of annoying bugs and glitches. Plus the fact too that like a lot of times I've noticed I'll be in the middle of doing something and my game just crashes.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like in general is a, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's a weird thing that it's not just a 2K thing. I feel like that's just a thing in video games in general currently. I feel like a lot of like current PS5 games just have like this random thing where they just kind of crash out of nowhere. Because it hasn't just happened with that. It's happened to me with multiple different games. But I think it's more annoying with 2K because like I'll be in the middle of creating something and then it crashes, which I think it was this year where they added the save button, like where you could quick save, which is the life changer. Mm-hmm. But they shouldn't have to add a quick save button because they know that the game's just going to possibly crash on you in the middle of creating something. So,
right. It shouldn't be crashing at all. That honestly may be a little more of a hardware issue, I would say. Just because I feel like that is a prevalent thing with PS5s a lot. But still, it shouldn't really be happening regardless.
And I would like to know if that, does 2K24 crash on the Xbox too? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never really looked into it. Maybe it is just a PS5 issue.
It might just be a PS5 issue.
Yeah. Next for me, even though we kind of just talked about how buggy this thing is, I would like more create an arena parts. I feel like for years, I'm big into creating. I create cause, I download cause, championships, arenas, all that stuff. I've made arenas for I made a PLE arena for every month for my fake universe with a PLE for like the developmental stuff too. So I basically have made 2 PLEs for each month in universe mode. That's a lot of arenas that I've made. And it's kind of annoying to the idea where, I mean, listen, maybe I'm just being annoying because no one is really making that much for one like universe mode, but it gets a little repetitive when I'm like, okay, like it's the same stuff, but in general it's been the same stuff. I feel like since even before they rebooted the stuff, I feel like since 2K18 or 2K19, it's kind of been the same where you have the same like 6 arenas that you can kind of or venues that you can choose from, the same preset stages. Let's revamp it. Let's leave that stuff in there. I'm not saying get rid of that stuff because it still could be useful. Like having like a Hammerstein ballroom is still useful and stuff. But let's add to it to where we can get like, I think it was 2K19 where in the My Rise, they had like when you were in BCW, you would do shows in like a like parking lot, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I remember watching the trailer and seeing it, and be like, oh, that's gonna be awesome, and then it just like you can unlock that arena, the BCW parking lot arena, but you couldn't use that in a template, and I'm like, why can I not use this parking lot that's already there as a created arena? You know, so that kind of annoyed me. So yeah, I would like things like that where it's more small venues, more of a hey, here's a parking lot, here's a brewery, here's a, you know, what there was another one, the LAW or whatever venue they used. It was like with a stage, it had like a stage in the background. Why are we not using it? It's like a concert hall. So cool. Why can't I not use that for creating an arena? Like things like that. I just want more venue types and more kind of Titantrons and stuff like that for creating an arena.
No, I definitely agree with you. I think with that, with there being a lot more additions to what you could do with Create Arena, I think the entire community creations community is just going to take that and skyrocket it. Because even with what we have now with the same stuff that we've had for years, people are still able to make these incredible arenas. Like you said, I think last week, the baseball arena where it's the baseball being thrown and that's the Titantron right there. That's super creative, and I think if we were allowed to have a lot more creativity with that mode, people can just take that and just go wild with it.
For sure. I've seen some. It definitely hinges on PC people, because you definitely aren't doing this stuff, or at least the stuff I'm about to talk about, you're not doing it on console, so it's definitely people on PC, which is a good thing that community creations is cross-platform now. But I've seen people that have kind of gone and been able to kind of push the limits or get around certain limits that they have in the game, where they're able to make some type of parking lot, or I have one that I downloaded that's kind of like Times Square, and in reality it's just images that are on Titantrons. But the way they've made it looks passable. Sometimes it can get annoying when you watch an entrance and they phase through certain stuff in an entrance and whatnot, and it takes me out of it. But in general, it's a really cool idea. I've seen someone did a Walmart parking lot. That I thought was hilarious. It was just a giant Titantron that had the Walmart, and then it would look like a parking lot. I was like, that's awesome. That's great. But let us use, 2K help us out so we don't have to make these crazy, dumb things in reality where it's just a bunch of screens surrounding the ring with a picture of a Walmart on it. Let us be able to just, maybe still have the screen, but let us have an actual parking lot to make it look a little more real, So yeah, create an arena parts. That's high up on my list. I feel like create anything. I would love more parts, but I feel like Create a Superstar, like I think I said last week, Create a Superstar, I feel like every year we get a good amount from the new people that come in. We get a good amount of upgrades, good amount of new items that come in. Create an Arena, we really get nothing. I don't think we've gotten an actual update to that mode in a couple years. So yeah.
We're definitely going to be talking about this later, because that's pretty much just going to be what the whole episode is about. But I want some better DLCs in this next game.
Oh yeah.
Because let me tell you what, man, I must have paid, what was it, $120 for this premium edition that comes with all the DLCs. I maybe used 3 of the DLC characters that were involved this year, and there's 25 of them. How are you going to have so many just bad DLCs, including that Pat McAfee pack? Well, that's been said and done a million times.
Right.
But just all the DLCs in general, I feel like we just need some better stuff.
I don't want to cut you off. Did you ever hear the rumor about what kind of transpired as to why that pack came to be, or not? The rumor of who got cut, apparently.
I didn't.
They claim. So I'll go off on a little tangent, a little side, a little trivia.
No, you're good. You're good.
For people. So Pat McAfee claims that when 2K came to him with this idea of putting him and his friends in the game, that Pat McAfee claims that he stressed to them to only do it if no one else was getting cut from the game, right? And 2K said, no, you're good. This is a total. We didn't have any plans for this other pack. This is a brand new idea we came to you guys with. So that was the idea of this was just off the rip. That's what they came up with. People were able to go into the files and found out that I guess that original pack, there was a whole thing for I think Lash Legend and Soul Ruka that was in the files that people kind of just equated to, okay, these are 2 people along with probably 3 or 4 boar that did get cut, and either Pat McAfee's lying, or more likely 2K just didn't tell him and just said like, no, yeah, it's a totally new idea. But in reality, yeah, apparently like 2 I remember off the rip was apparently Last Legend and I think Soul Ruka that were supposed to be like DLC for the game that got cut, so that AJ Hawk could make it into the game.
Well, there you go. Congratulations, AJ Hawk. Great, good job. Made it into the game.
There you go.
But yeah, better DLCs because I'm not paying for these Ultimate Editions anymore. If the DLCs I'm getting are awful, like I'm not doing it. I can't do it. I don't
disagree. I would like to see more DLCs, and if again you guys listening or watching right now are gonna have to go watch the full YouTube video that we're gonna do about it, where we predict our DLC. But to be biased, I was writing this list. I woke up. I need to take a nap when we're done here. I woke up at like 4 in the morning. I could not go back to sleep, so I'm definitely taking a nap before you come over here for Saturday Night's Main Event. But so it was like 4 in the morning, and I was like, I can't sleep, or I can't go back to sleep. So let me start writing my notes for the podcast, and then I came up with the idea for the DLC video, and I started writing that. Made the little graphics that I'm going to put in there. If my DLC predictions come true, this could be a generational run for DLC in a WWE 2K game. I swear. There's a lot of names that are possibly available that could possibly be on the table, from NXT to Legends to just newer people in general that have maybe on the main roster. That, yeah, if any of my DLC predictions come true, we could be on a serious generational run here with DLC.
Well, let's hope you're right because we definitely need it.
Yeah, I hope so. So my last part here, or at least my last feature before we break down our base roster wish list, is one that I know is not going to happen. It's a major upgrade to Universe Mode. That thing is not happening. Oh, no, Lord.
Absolutely not. Never happening.
Not a chance in hell. They got to rewrite the whole code.
What a stupid idea. That's never going to happen. Effort? They can't do that. What are you talking about?
So, speaking of 2K not putting in effort, me and my friend Aaron Over were talking about like some of the DLC and whatnot, and he asked like, you think they may do like a TNA pack or something like that? And I was like, yeah, I mean that would be cool. And we were kind of talking about who could be in it, and I said 2 names or a tag team that is on my list that I'll break down. I don't want to review it, but I said a tag team that is a very likely option and would be very popular for people to want. And he goes, well, that's too easy of an option. And I was like, bro, it's 2K. They only take the easy option. So that was the conversation I had this morning. But yeah, my last one there. Big upgrade to Universe Mode. Definitely ain't happening, but it needs to happen soon. So yeah, I can't even really go too far into it because I feel like I've already said what I need to say about it last week. And I feel like I'll probably have more to say about it next week when we break down some news and I find out that Universe Mode is just going to be the same thing it's been. So yeah, all I can really say is it needs to happen. They need to fix their coding issue or whatever it is that we were talking about. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. Fix it, make it better, add story creator into Universe Mode. Stop shaking me down for my money if you're not going to give me what I want. Like Batista.
That's what I'm saying.
Give me what I want.
Give me what I want.
Give me what I want. Huh?
Dude, what a generational Batista run that was.
I should take that video of him just being like, "Give me what I want." And I should.
You know what I want, Hunter.
I should just tweet that at 2K and be like, "Universe."
Just hashtag Universe Mode.
Yeah, and just tweet it at 2K every day until they finally figure it out.
They gotta. We need it.
Yes. All right, you got one more there?
Yeah, I want my faction gone. I want the whole mode gone. I don't want it anymore. Right. They keep adding these cool Persona cards and wrestlers to that mode, and you can only unlock them to play in the game through that mode. And it's like, I don't want to play that mode. No one wants to play that mode. It's 100%. So bad. Get it out. I just want it. I want it killed. I want it killed like they killed WWE Speed. Kill it.
So, one of the things, I think it was 2K22. So there's this guy, I think I've sent him to you. Everybody that's in like the creation stuff knows him. I don't know, bro. You were fixing your hair, and I saw that muscle. I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Hey, man, I'm working.
Not used to seeing muscle definition on my cousin.
Hey, let me tell you, man. I'm working on it. It's only getting bigger and better.
You're gonna make me get back in the gym now.
Look at hey.
Oh, shit.
Come join me, man. We can work out.
I think 2K22. I think this dude. What's the status? He's like one of the biggest creators. He's good because he's on PC and he's able to like kind of get stuff that they kind of hide. Like I think certain entrance animations and stuff he's able to put onto a call for somebody and whatnot. So I think it was 2K22 where he was able to take all of the like My Rise original characters like Hector Flores and he uploaded them to Community Creations with like some of them had like their Titantrons and stuff like that, and it was their in-game models. It wasn't CAWs, like it was their in-game models that looked better than a CAW. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. I downloaded every single one of them and I put them in my fake universe because I'm like, these are fake people. But they're cool and they look better than any cause, so why would I not use them? So like Hector Flores and Paragon and all those people were like in there. They had titles and whatnot. It was really, really cool. And 2K23, they made sure to like fix that. They were like, nope, we can't let them do that. So whatever it was, they put a blockage on it to where none of that content could be uploaded to Community Creations. And 2K24, they still did the same thing, but then they took all of them, and I remember this, they put them in My Rise, right? And they had them as persona cards for my faction that you can unlock. Like if you go in and you faced Paragon in this little side match, you unlocked his persona card for my faction. So I made sure to do all that because I'm like, cool, I'm doing what I did with 2K22. I'm using all of them. If it's a persona card that I can use outside of the mode, I unlocked all of them. They're persona cards. You can't use them outside of my faction. I was like, what? They're persona cards. I could use this Sheamus 09 persona card or this Xavier Woods 0 whatever thing. I could use all that. But for some reason, these persona cards of the My Rise characters I can't use. So that annoyed me because I went out of my way to spend extra time to make sure I unlocked like every persona card for those characters just to not use them at all. So
yeah.
I would
it's
like
definitely some BS.
As well.
Get it out. We're done.
Yeah, for sure. Or make it to where things that people can unlock. I mean, they like their money. I get it. They want people buying like the currency and whatnot. But if you're gonna keep my faction, make it easier for people to actually unlock these damn things, and make all the persona cards available to be used in other modes. I will go through and I'll do whatever I gotta do in my faction if it's easier to unlock something that I can actually utilize. If there was here's a 2024 final boss rock, and all you have to do is this, it might be a little bit of a grind, right? But it's not impossible to do, which some of it is. I'd be like, all right, screw it. I'll go through. I'll have some fun. I'll grind out these dumb little matches because final boss rock I'll use, So I think that's it. Either get rid of it or make it easier for people to kind of access the actual rewards.
Right.
So, all right. Now moving on to our roster wish list. Again, this is just base game, no DLC. We're gonna make a whole video on that for the third time. Making a whole video on that. That'll be on YouTube. So this is just base game, who we think are gonna be added to the game that we're not in 2K24. My bad. Got a burp. I'm looking at my list now. I don't have any legends on here. I just realized that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
All my guys are modern.
Yeah, mine are either from NXT or they're people that are obvious because they're like on the main roster.
Right, exactly.
I have a couple legends in my DLC list for sure. But when it comes to legends, I feel like it's kind of hard to add people because most people are either already signed to a legends deal. I feel like if you're looking at someone from a legends perspective, either A, they're already signed to a legends deal, B, they're signed to AEW and they can't be using a legends deal, or C, they're not really that big of a legend that WWE would want to sign them to a legends deal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I feel like that is a little hard to add people because, I feel like a good majority of people are probably already in the game or they can't be in the game. So yeah, I'll give, I don't know, I got a lot of names on here. I don't want to just like rifle them off. So I'll give like 4 and then you can give like 4 and we'll just like go back and forth. So my first 4 from NXT, I think base game, we're getting Obafemi, Sol Ruka, Kalani Jordan, and Jada Parker. I mean, like I said with Sol Ruka, I'm pretty sure she literally was supposed to be DLC for 2K24 anyways. Obafemi, I mean, he's the NXT champion right now. I don't think he'll be NXT champion in the game, or maybe he will be. But he's been so dominant that you can't, you know what I'm saying? Not only has he been on TV, but he's been dominant that you can't not have him in there.
Right.
Kalani Jordan, she's one of my favorites. She's definitely in like my top 5 like active wrestlers right now. She's the first women's North American champion. So if that championship is going to be in the game, which I'd imagine it is, because all it is kind of flipping a black strap or a red strap to a white strap, and making it smaller. So if that title is going to be in the game, you got to have someone with that championship. So I can see Kalani being in there and being like the main champion. I mean, if not, Fallon Henley obviously was in last year's game, so she'll be there. But I don't know. I really would like to see Kalani in the game. And Jada Parker, another one where she's been on NXT for basically a year, pretty much every week for the past year. So yeah, she's just another one that I think it's kind of hard to not put her in the game.
Right. All those names are on my list. A big part of my list is pretty much just NXT people because I feel like there's so many of them now, and they could easily move them over.
Similar lists.
For sure. Just to kind of rattle off the names on my list here, I'm going to go with Julia because I could see her being DLC, but I feel like it makes a little more sense to have her in the base game just because she is the current NXT Women's Champion. It doesn't feel a little right to just kind of keep her out of the base game at this point. Okay. I've got Lexus King. I feel like he's been around for a little while. I think they could definitely put him in. I have Javon Evans. He also could be DLC, but I think he definitely deserves a spot on the main roster just automatically, just because he's always on there and he's just been doing incredible work on there. And then to kind of move away from NXT, just to kind of get on the main roster, I've got Andrade on there as well. I feel like that one will be a little bit easier for them to do because he was originally already in the game, I think, like a few years back, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they could definitely bring him back in easily. Yeah.
Yeah, so Julia and Javon, not on my list. They, again, don't want to spoil it, but they are on my DLC list for that video later. So that's 2 names that I definitely think will be in the game, but I definitely think they're going to be DLC additions. Because I think you gotta save some room for DLC. You can't give everything away in the base game. And like Javon, one of my favorites, kind of a friend through Elias. So I want him in the game no matter what. But I think Julia per se, I think she'd be a really big selling point for the DLC. So I think that's like going to be one of their main things. They may have even had the opportunity to put her in the base game, but they were like, let's move her to DLC so we make sure we get a couple extra sales. You know what I'm saying?
That's what they did with CM Punk. I'm
exactly.
So convinced of that.
Lexus King and Andrade were on my list. Lexus King, another one. I'm not a huge Lex offender, as he likes to say his fans are, which is horrible but hilarious.
That's so terrible.
It's so bad, but it's funny. Where are all my Lex offenders at?
That's crazy.
I'm not a big fan of him. I don't think you're necessarily too big of a fan of him, but
no.
I think he's been around long enough that he'll definitely make it into the base game. And Andrade, same thing. He's been around. People know him. He's been around long enough. I feel like they normally cut off the roster around WrestleMania time. That's when they kind of cut off the cutting point for who's making it in the game, and he was on WrestleMania, so that's pretty much a guarantee he's going to be in the game. And yeah, he's already been in. Yeah, I mean, I think his first game was like 2K18 or 19 or something. I think 2K19 maybe, because he was NXT champion and whatnot. So yeah,
right.
Lexus King and Andrade, I definitely think will be in the game, and Julia and Javon are on my DLC list for sure. 4 more names I got on here, not from NXT, but I can almost guarantee you all 4 of these names will be on your list, because I feel like they would be on anybody's list. That's going to be Naomi, who returned at the Rumble. And again, she's been in so many games that I think she only really missed like 1 game anyways, so it's not too much of a stretch to put her in. But then some new additions. That's really a return. But some new additions, some totally new additions. We got the new bloodline of Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu. They came in a little bit after WrestleMania, but I do think that might be a case of them kind of maybe rushing a little bit to make sure they get them in there. Again, I mean, I guess you could make that debate that they would get moved to DLC, but I think, again, if my predictions come true, and I feel like they're pretty solid predictions. I think they have enough selling points for DLC that they also need some selling points for the game in a way. You know what I'm saying? Some selling points of people on the roster for the game. And I don't think too many people are going crazy to play as Tongaloa. But I think a lot of people will be clamoring to be Jacob Fatu in the game. So I think he'll be in the base game along with Tomatonga and Tongaloa. So that's my next 4.
Absolutely. I mean, New Bloodline was pretty much... They were the first people I put on my list because I'm like, these right. have to be like deadlocks for the list here. Wow. Naomi coming back obviously would be a great thing. She's one of the GOATs, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Love her.
Yeah, I just want to play as Jacob Fatu. I think everybody does.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I only really have... I kind of realized that I wrote a lot more names down, but these are all kind of like tag teams and factions, so I'm just going to kind of say the tag team names and factions. Mm-hmm. The last 2 that I really kind of have here are the War Raiders and the Wyatt Six. The Wyatt Six, I could see them being a DLC pack, I'm not going to lie, just because I feel like you could probably just get all of them into the one pack. Right. But War Raiders, I can definitely see them adding back in, especially because...
War Raiders are in the game, my boy.
Are they? But are they still the Viking Raiders?
What's the difference?
Because they're just, like, different, I feel like. I feel like they're a bit different.
I don't know. I feel like they're exactly the same other than the name change. I don't want to throw you down the shaft there. I just feel like they're not.
No, I mean, too different. Throw me down there. I mean, you kind of caught me on a thing there. I didn't realize. Oh, to me, they're so vastly different from right. what they once were that to me it's such a drastic change.
Okay. But the Wyatt Six, yeah, they're not on my list or my DLC list, weirdly. Although I think it, not because I don't think I think they just kind of slipped my mind. But yeah, I definitely can see. I mean, Uncle Howdy's already in the game, especially that stupid $10 pack that they did where they actually made it Bo Dallas or whatever. So that's right. already there. So you already got one guy out of the way. You don't have to really change anything after that. Yeah, and then the rest of them, again, I feel like either they'll. I feel like you can't split it. I feel like they either all have to be in the base game or all DLC. I feel like you can't be like, here's Uncle Howdy, Joe Gacy, and Loomis as base game, and then Rowan and Nikki Cross are DLC. I feel like you can't do that. Which again, in reality, all their character models other than Rowan is still kind of there. Even Rowan's is probably still there, but like all you have to do is kind of add their extra, costumes. But like Joe Gacy is still Joe Gacy. He just wears a pig mask now, So I feel like it's not too far off. So I would agree they're not on my list, but I would say that they're all probably going to be DLC because in reality, the only actual person you have to add in is Rowan.
Right.
Let's see. I'm trying to. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll just do like 3 and then let you go. Yeah, you have more on your list?
No, you could probably just go off your whole 6, honestly.
All right, so my last 6, I got Charlie Dempsey. I think he's great. William Regal's son. I think he's awesome. He's been around for a while at this point, and kind of goes along with my Heritage Cup thing. If they were to add the Heritage Cup into it, you need a champion, and there have been many champions, but I feel like he has been the defining champion since it's come to normal NXT. Because you've had in NXT UK, I think A-Kid had it, Tyler Bate had it, but I'm saying like in the we brought it to mainline NXT, Charlie Dempsey has kind of been like the main guy. It kind of goes from someone and then kind of comes back to him and whatnot. So I think he's been around. If they're gonna add that title cup in there, he should be the default champion for sure. Kiana James, this is a wild card. Not really a wild card, but it's kind of left field. Because she's been gone. She's been gone. Someone coming to attack you over there, buddy?
I think so.
So those 2K devs are coming to get you.
What the fuck did you say about my faction?
That's exactly what's happening. Kiana James. She's been gone, so I think it might be a shock to kind of some people. But in reality, she's been on NXT, and she technically did get drafted to Raw, and I think she only had like one match on Raw. But I'd imagine they probably had her in there anyways because of her time in NXT and how prominent she was before she got drafted. I think she's been out with injury or something like that. That's why she hasn't been on Raw. But she's been on NXT. She's technically a member of the main roster now, so I could see them adding her in even if it is kind of like a shock to some people. it does kind of make sense when you think about it. I'm gonna add Lola Vice. That's another one where she's been very prominent on NXT for like the past 2 years. I believe she had she won like the breakout tournament like a year ago or something like that, or 2 years ago, something like that. She's been on NXT TV for a while. She's a fan favorite. Everybody loves her. So I feel like she's a perfect fit for the main game. And my last ones that I'll add is the rest of Metaphor. I want the rest of Metaphor. You already got Noam Dar in the game, and he's been in the game. I want Lash Legend. I want Jakara Jackson. And I want Oro Mensah. Again, pretty sure Lash Legend was supposed to be DLC last year and got cut. So obviously her model is probably already in someone's hard drive somewhere. I just want the last little bit of Metaphor. How are you going to have Noam Dar without the rest of his crew? They've also been prominent on NXT, especially Lash and Jakara. I mean, they're pretty much on SmackDown now. That's my last little bit. I want them. They're prominent. The girls are on SmackDown basically at this point. They're pretty much called up, so I feel like it makes sense for them to be in the new game. So that's the last bit.
Metaphor would definitely be a cool addition to the game. I think their entrance would look sick as hell in 2K.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Definitely, if you were also to make like your own like 4-man faction, you could also use that entrance for it, which would be sick as well.
Well, 2 men and 2 women.
Yes. Well,
you got Roman Reigns.
If you want, I'm down for it. It's whatever Roman Reigns wants to do. It's his prerogative.
That's true. We live in 2025. It's cool.
Yeah, Roman can do what he wants. Charlie Dempsey and Lola Vice were 2 people that I kind of figured would more so be DLC. I think that was a similar case with you with like Javon Evans and stuff like that. I think there is going to be some sort of like NXT pack, and it is going to have a good number of great superstars in it. It's just depending on who's going to be on the main game and then who's going to be in that DLC pack. I think there's a lot of different variations you could do with that. But they're all coming. They all got to come in.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
I think everybody's coming in. They're coming hard.
What?
But yeah, so that's our wish list. That's and that's kind of our episode. Unless you have anything else you want to add there, Mr. Theo.
Let's hope Jimmy Wang Yang comes back. He's got to make it into the game too.
There you go. Oh yeah, I have your birthday present. I was gonna give it to you Rumble, but it came early, so I'm just gonna give it to you today.
Oh,
so
okay.
Get that.
Okay.
We'll make sure to get that reaction right here.
We could do that in the same episode as like the.
We'll be sitting over here, and we'll be hanging out. We got a lot more content coming up. We're gonna next week is the big episode where we're gonna break down a bunch of the news that they drop. And I feel like as we get more news throughout the coming months, we'll probably talk about it, but it's not gonna be a whole episode centered around it. We'll just talk about it in the beginning or whatnot. So next week's episode is gonna be our last WB Games episode. I'm a little excited to go through it, but I'm a little excited to move past the theme. Not that I'm tired of it. I really want to get into some juice. I want to talk about some Star Wars or something. I want to go crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
So I've had fun with this WB Games topic, but I'm excited to get into some more stuff with other parts of wrestling or non-wrestling. We're gonna film some videos. We're gonna do a lot. We got a lot coming for the OTS Project. We got a lot coming from my YouTube channel and whatnot. We got a championship that is back there that again we're gonna film a video. We got a lot of videos to film when you get over here, man. So
yeah,
we got a lot of stuff. I gotta go take a nap because I've been up since 4 a.m. But other than that, you got anything else you want to
add? Shout out as always to the WNRN for putting this on, helping us out with all this stuff. We really appreciate it. Make sure to follow them on X. Make sure to follow us on X at OTS Bridger, at OTS Bebop.
Yes, sir.
Follow us. Stay tuned. A lot more content to come.
Oh yeah, let's do it. All right, we'll see y'all next week for the big news drop of 2K25.
See ya.
Yeah.